Tyson Fury, Vladimir Klitschko, 2, July the 9th. Now, I've done a video about Tyson Fury and Vladimir Klitschko and Anthony Joshua. So if you haven't seen it, check it out. I know there's a lot going on in the boxing world, and you're probably thinking, all this guy talks about is Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury and these guys, and I know there's a lot of other stuff to cover, and I will cover it in due course. But it's just something about this Tyson Fury versus Vladimir Klitschko fight that is really, really exciting and intriguing, because when you look at the first fight with Vladimir Klitschko and Tyson Fury seemed, excuse me, a lot more motivated, and he seemed a lot more jovial, coming in with the Batman suit and brimming with confidence, and he just looked like psychologically he had the edge in the build up to the first Vladimir Klitschko fight. And I don't want to cover old ground about who I thought was going to win and Vladimir Klitschko's last few performances before he fought Tyson Fury, but I thought that Tyson Fury was going to put on a show. A lot of people wrote him off, but I thought there was a very big opportunity that he could pull this off, and he did. But going into the second fight, I think Tyson Fury is not the same. He hasn't got the same attitude, and that's what I sense. I'm a person that goes a lot on feeling, body language, and what people say. And I think something's not right here with Tyson Fury. Now, it could be just an act. You don't know. He's very, very unpredictable. But, he went through this whole dialogue about boxing and how he hates boxing and how he, doesn't want to do it anymore, and how he hates every minute of training, and how he'd rather be at home eating chocolates and sweets and watching TV, and he hopes Vladimir Klitschko knocks him out and stuff like that. And it doesn't matter about legacies, because you die and then you're buried and you're forgotten about. And to me, that sounds like a man who's actually depressed. Call me crazy, but I think it sounds like somebody who's depressed, who just doesn't care. I don't care about legacies. I don't care about the belts. I just want to make some money, and I just want to come out of the game, and that'll be the end of it. So, it just sounds like something's not right with Tyson Fury. And Vladimir Klitschko seems very, very hyped up for this fight, because Tyson Fury is saying things like he's boring, and he bored the German people for 10 years, and he feels sorry for the German people, and he's an old man, and a lot of things. And Tyson Fury is winding him up, and he seems really, really hyped up for this fight, does Klitschko. And Vladimir Klitschko knows what he's got to do. He knows what he's got to do now, because when you look at the first fight, he thought he could get away with it. He thought he could get away with just jabbing and grabbing and keeping Tyson Fury at a distance, and that he was in Germany and he was a champion and he was going to nick a victory. But it didn't happen. So now he knows, going into this fight, he knows that he's got to bring a completely different strategy into the game. He's got to fight Tyson Fury. He's got to throw combinations. He's got to take risks. He's got to take the fight to him, because if he does what he does in Germany, then I think Tyson Fury is going to win this fight again. So I don't think that Vladimir Klitschko can do the same thing. He has to take the fight to Tyson Fury for him to win this fight. Now, I'm reading Teddy Atlas's book, by the way. You might think this is slightly off topic, but something that I picked up on, and I'm just going to sort of marry the two together. Brilliant book, by the way. If you're into your boxing biographies, I would recommend that book. It's really, really good, surprisingly. And I read quite a big section of the book, few chapters, talks about when he was training Michael Moorer. in the run up to his fight against Evander Holyfield when he fought for the heavyweight title. And Teddy Atlas is a very good. I've spoke about Teddy Atlas before for those of you who've heard my previous post, but Teddy Atlas talks a lot about psychology and fear, and he can sense somebody who's afraid through what they say and through how they act. And he was talking about Michael Moorer being very difficult to train. He was saying, Michael Moorer, he wouldn't run, he wouldn't put the effort in sparring, he wouldn't he wouldn't do what Teddy Atlas told him to do in training. He would go AWOL, he would just walk out of the training camps, and Teddy Atlas would be infuriated with him because he was so difficult to manage. So read it, you can check it out, it's really good. And he said something what hit the nail on the head. He said the reason why Michael Moorer did that and behaved that way was not because he couldn't be bothered or because he hated boxing, but because he was afraid to lose. And if he went into training camp and did every single thing that Teddy Atlas told him and he lost the fight, there'd be no excuses. If he could just go into the fight and say, well, I never trained, ask Teddy Atlas, I never showed up for training, I never showed up for sparring, I never ran, that's why I lost the fight. That was his excuse. It wouldn't be so bad. It wouldn't be so humiliating. And that's what I feel Tyson Fury is doing going into this fight with Vladimir Klitschko. I think he's actually saying, I hate boxing. I want him to knock me out. I don't care about boxing. He's saying that because I think he fears that Vladimir Klitschko will beat him in this fight. Maybe he thinks he got lucky. We all know Tyson Fury is somebody who likes to talk, somebody who likes to play act. I've heard interviews with him where he said some crazy stuff and then right at the end he's like, psych. So maybe it's just one of those situations, but I personally think based on the body language, it's not as jovial. Based on the things that he's saying, I think that he feels that if he says I hate boxing and I want him to knock me out, and if he knocks me out I will retire, I think that's his way of saying, of covering up the fact that he might be afraid to lose. Because what man, I might sound like I'm contradicting myself because on the one hand I'm saying he's depressed, he sounded depressed, and maybe he's depressed, and on the other hand I'm saying that he's just acting like that because he's afraid to lose and he's just trying to make it seem as if he's not bothered or he wants to lose or wants to retire. But on the flip side, he must love being heavyweight champion. He must love it, going places, having the spotlight on you, having lots of money, having, being in the limelight, because everybody wants to see him fight. I mean, let's face it, Klitschko's a boring heavyweight. If he was to win the titles, I wouldn't want to see him. I wouldn't be too enthusiastic about seeing him fight again. But, with Tyson Fury, we all want to see the fights against Joshua. We all want to see the fights against Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury must love that. So he surely doesn't want to lose. He must want to, win the title, retain the titles, so he can stay in the limelight and go after these guys. So maybe he just thinks this time round it's just not going to happen. So I just watched both the press conferences, and that's what I got from the fight. The press conferences. That's what I got from them. It looks to me that Vladimir Klitschko is a lot more hyped up. But the question is, can Vladimir Klitschko change his style? That's the thing. Can he really go into this fight being a different fighter entirely? Or is it just too late? Is it too late for him to change his ways? Because he was very, very tentative in the first fight. So I'm thinking to myself, will he actually go in? Is this going to be the one last hurrah? Is he going to say, you know what? If I am going to win this fight, I really need to go all out. Is he really going to bring that to the table, or is he just going to get there and then he's just going to freeze? Because we've seen it a lot with a lot of the big fights, where we're so excited about the build up, and then like Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, for instance, were also excited about that fight. And then when it happened, it was just they were both quite tentative. They were both quite reserved, especially Pacquiao. And the same thing happened with Scott Quigg and Carl Frampton. Recently we thought it was going to be more of a war. They got there. It was really tentative. To begin with, and maybe we're going to get there and Vladimir Klitschko is going to be just the same old guy. But if he does that, I'm telling you, he will lose. If he doesn't do that and he takes the fight to him, then he's going to be far more exciting. The fight's going to be more exciting and he's got more of a chance of winning the fight. At this moment in time, I don't really have much more to say about the subject, but I just wanted to kind of touch on what Tyson Fury was saying, because he says some very interesting comments and they tell you a lot about his mind frame and what he's thinking and what's going through his mind, the psychology of it. Is the pressure getting to him this time round, or is he depressed? Is he just saying it because he if he loses, it's not so bad? If he says he doesn't care about the sport, look at my belly, which I thought was priceless. He says some classic lines though, hasn't he? He's really hilarious. He's like, the only time, Vladimir Klitschko has been exciting is when he got knocked out twice, which I thought was really hilarious. And he said some other classic one-liners. So there's always entertainment with Tyson Fury, but there's just something that seems a little bit off. Or maybe he's just laid back. Maybe he's just chilled, because he can be like that too. Anyway, if you've listened to this whole thing, thanks very much for listening. Please comment in the section below, and don't forget to